who here has seen the movie Drop Dead Fred?
Oh yeah, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
saw that in theater. Yeah,
So you know the guy who played as Drop Dead Fred? He
yeah.
was gonna be the actor who was gonna play Peeves the Poltergeist in the first Harry Potter film.
Really?
Really,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So here's the thing.
R.I.P. to him. He's gone too, unfortunately.
I had to do extensive research on this because like when I first heard about it, it's like wait, and I saw pictures of what he was supposed to look like. I'm not sure if it was. I couldn't tell if the picture was like fake or not, but he was actually supposed to play Peeves. He had 2 weeks worth of shooting, and for some reason, they didn't even show it. Like they just said, you know, I've looked multiple sources on no given explanation. So when him and his kids went to Harry Potter showing, he told his kids that he was playing Hagrid because his kid was asking who he playing as, and he pointed to Hagrid and said, "I'm playing that guy."
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Coltrane's kids were like, "Wait, what?"
I felt bad for the actor, like having his scenes just not even being shown. And Peeves
yeah, and then
he
to
played
die like a year later.
yeah,
Oh man,
and Peeves he played again. The character played a role in the books. He was even in the freaking video games.
yeah.
So like the fact that we think I would have loved to see him on screen. One of the rumors, quote unquote, I wasn't sure if it was true that he would have been deemed too scary. Yeah,
Wow.
a three.
He's an intense dude. If you go back and watch the young ones, because he started like with one of those BBC sketch comedies. Yeah, he's intense.
I mean,
And,
yeah, a giant spider and a giant three-headed dog and killing
oh yeah,
people
no,
is too
that's
much.
fine.
I'm just throwing it out there. By the time by the time the 7th and 8th movie come out, it's everybody's dying. So I mean, like, you know.
Yeah,
And-
he dies, she dies,
and in the
everybody
book,
dies.
Peeves played an important part in the book. He's one of the characters that helped boot out Dolores Umbridge in the book. He even helped defend the Hogwarts during the final battle with the Dementors and Voldemort and everything. Like he had a huge role. So seeing that in the movie would have been cool. Again, the Harry Potter movies are known, especially for Deathly Hollows. Getting rid of the scene where we saw redemption from the Dursleys would have been nice to see in the movie.
Yeah.
Brandon, back to you. Any fun random facts that we may not know or people may not know? And you know the theme of this already.
Yeah. Let me think about that real quick.
We can go. We can go back to you if you like.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard to think of things on the spot.
Unprepared ass. What's the matter with you, boy?
Back to Brian saying how about Gotham by Gaslight. So there's 2 fun video game facts about since we really haven't talked about a lot of video games. We were supposed to get a Gotham by Gaslight video game.
I saw the test footage of that. That was crazy looking.
It was supposed to be like the Gotham Batman Arkham Asylum games.
Yep.
And originally, Batman Arkham Asylum, very first Batman Arkham Asylum game, was supposed to be a 2D rhythmic game.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, it was supposed to be a 2D rhythmic fighting game like Dance Dance Revolution, Donkey Konga.
Okay, that makes sense. With an interview with one of the developers that was talking about the combat system had a certain beat and rhythm to it because they wanted it to be, you know, boom, 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 boom. You know,
and then before it became what it became, they actually. So it went from the combat rhythmic thing to being turn-based. And it was supposed to be a turn-based strategy.
So basically like Final Fantasy.
And it's exactly what they were comparing it to was Final Fantasy. And then they took aspects of each of those different things and added that into the combat engine that it ended up having, which changed the entire dynamic of the game.
I did not know that about it being a rhythm game. And the turn-based thing really only works, and even then it's hit and miss with like Warhammer and a few others. It's just not a thing too much anymore. But the rhythm thing makes a lot of sense because I didn't know that. Like I just watched like post-development stuff, and they were talking about how they wanted the combat system to have like a rhythm, and the game speaks for itself. It has its exceptions, like with Origins, but you know,
hey, there are parts of Origins that I like, man. I mean,
I
can't say I like the entire game, but I mean, there are parts of it,
and and actually, on the topic of the Batman Arkham Asylum game, there are hints about because I've recently found this out. There are hints about about how Arkham City was already in development because if you go into Gordon Sharp's office and if you use your the explosive gel, the explosive gel, if you hit it just right on the wall, because you can't see it through the X-ray vision, but if you hit it just right, the wall will blow up and it'll show developments for Arkham City.
Yeah,
which
didn't
is
we
kind
see a video on that, Brandon?
which is kind of a little Easter egg saying, hey, this is the next game we're making. I mean, that one and Arkham Knight were like, all three were kind of like slowly in development, because you even see like references throughout Arkham Asylum and Arkham City on how, you know, supposedly Scarecrow's going to come back.
Right.
Because Arkham Knight came out.
Well, the post credit scene in Arkham Asylum.
Oh yeah, with
hands coming up.
With his hands, and if you beat the game at 100%, you will see Killer Croc's hand.
Oh really?
Yeah, you have to beat the game 100% by collecting all the trophies, which is a pain in the ass. Collecting all the interview tapes with the patients, and collecting the Amadeus Arkham scanning the scarabs.
Yeah, and you get the gold bat symbol for that too, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
There was one Riddler puzzle that I couldn't find. But then when I went through and read, it said that like certain like depending on when you got the game, certain builds of the get there was a glitch where you couldn't do one of Riddler's so you can get second completion.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't either.
But yeah, that's a fun fact. Batman was supposed to be a 2D rhythmic fighting.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I think it would be cool, but then I'm like, wait, that would be something you would have. That would be something like you would be playing on the Nintendo, not
or the Kinect or something like that. God awful Star Wars dance game.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brandon, back to you.
I have to stop because it's the bad guy's turn.
Yeah, Brandon, speaking of back to you, have you thought of anything yet that we may not know, or people may not know, or do know?
No, I was talking with listening to you guys on the Batman stuff, and speaking of him talk, did you ever see like the Han Solo dance thing with that Star Wars Connect? That's just hilarious. Yeah.
I can't imagine Batman like that.
I can't either.
Okay, I'll take that back. If they made like a one-off for one of those dance games or rhythm games and did like the Bat-Tusi scene from the '66, you know, and all, okay, fine, right? That would be awesome. I'm totally okay with that. But to make an entire game around that, DC's already shooting herself in the foot for multiple reasons. Why that would have just been the nail in the coffin.
Sorry,
yeah.
I had Warner Brothers Discovery in my mouth.
Yeah, so I don't know. Who the hell pitched that? And what would be the idea there? I just that.
Wait, are you talking about the rhythmic?
The 2D rhythmic game? I can't. I don't know. I have a hard.
Rocksteady Studios. That's but their whole entire idea.
What the hell, though? Given that the Nolan trilogy was already a thing, and we've already gone dark and gritty and all that stuff, why the hell go backwards again? It's already been proven not to work. I don't know. I just some of those pitch meetings for some of these things, I don't know how they even get past the concept stage in somebody's head, much less out their freaking mouth.
Well, you know, what it probably was originally, what it really was going to be was like, you know, you get into like a fighting sequence and then you have to hit like button combinations,
and do like this a whole quick time thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
there was actually
but to rhythm.
Yes,
it was okay. It probably would have been like God of War style, you know, but like, you know, like
okay, God of War worked.
And God of War did, it did work with the rhythmic thing.
Because that's probably what they were trying to do was like, okay, well, let's capitalize on God of War, but let's do it like with Batman, right?
And make it 2D.
Probably what they were trying to do, and they were probably doing the 2D thing and all that and whatnot. But like, you know, it was okay. Well, this is not going to work the way that we want it to work. And then somebody probably came up with this whole idea of, well, why don't we come up with our own combat system where. Yeah, I mean, basically, because there is kind of a rhythm to the way that you fight the characters, that fight the enemies in that game. You know, like, you know, essentially you have everybody flying at you at once, but it's like, okay, well, how do we figure out a block button and then parrying and then
the dodge?
Yeah, because I mean, like if you look at your upgrade system, like literally there are button combinations that you have to do in a certain sequence in a rhythm in order to get like mega combos down. So I mean, like. There's still remnants of it there.
Sure, but it's not 2D and it's not ridiculous to base a whole game around it.
I'm just trying to picture two.
But you know, there have been stellar games, and I know we're going to get back to Brandon at some point, but there have been some stellar games based on ridiculous concepts or ridiculous sounding. So Cliff Bleszinski, no matter what your opinion is of him or whatever, having gone to a concert and watched the roadies run back and forth on stage to drop off equipment and stuff gave us Gears of War. I mean, what the hell? Oh yeah. So when you watch Phoenix and all those guys run to cover, how they're kind of ducking and running, was based on Cliff Bleszinski being at like probably a Beck or a Nirvana concert or whatever. Who the hell knows with him? Watched roadies running to and from the stage, dropping off guitars, water, picks, things like that.
I can tell you from experience, when you're in full combat gear and you're in full armor like that, like that's literally how you have to run.
Yeah.
In order to get from
well, yeah, I was ex-military myself, but just he wasn't, and he saw concert roadies running back and forth, dropping off equipment.
That's a pretty cool fact, though. I didn't know that.
And that's how we got that roadie run for Gears of War.
I love the hiding behind the wall system and Gears of War.
Yeah, but it's how they got to each point. If you watch how they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and both of you have experience doing that too.
I was saying we learned that you can run faster full battle rattle if you run like that.
I mean, no, it's also pretty nice to have vets on this, channel too.
Yeah, well, yeah, the whole point from the military aspect too, especially when you got like the 85 pounds of crap on your back, is the momentum's pushing you forward.
Exactly.
When you get going down, and then your cover. But anyway, like I said, weird concept or weird idea to spawn something else like that.
I didn't know that, but I mean that gives me more respect for roadies too.
Yeah. And watch or play the game again. And run from one cover to the other.
I plan. I mean, whenever I get the chance,
Yeah. Or even just watch a video and you watch these guys run. Now knowing that, it's like, wow, okay, that's exactly what it is. It's a guy dropping off a bottle of water to a guitarist or a new pick or something.
That's pretty fucking cool. That's a pretty cool concept, though. I mean, I can't. How'd you find that out, if you don't mind me asking?
There was this one thing on G4 TV way back when. They were it was right before GOW 3 came out, and it's when you could still get the silver cog tags and stuff, and they have these pre-orders, and then they had the demo with the meat cube and all that stuff, which was hilarious, by the way, to play the shoot the meat cube. Cliff was talking about the development of the game before he left and started Boss Studios, and he started talking about that. And then I looked a little bit further into it, and Game Informer and some of the other magazines were saying, that whole roadie run thing, because, there was a lot of controversy around the game to begin with, and everybody was calling bullshit about it looking as good as it did as that first trailer that dropped like 2 years before the game came out.
It was one of the early, you talk about the first Gears of War?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was one of the earlier games to come out. It was like probably second Xbox 360's second or third year. The game was released. And everybody
was still calling bullshit that there was no possible way that was game engine footage. That was with the Gary Jules song and everything, and then the big corpse are in the back when it pops up.
Oh yeah, I remember the trailer very well.
Yeah, and the fact that the game ended up looking like that was just mind blowing. So you start with all this stuff with a lot of controversy, then you find out that it was based on something that ridiculous by a guy that's like 12 years old or whatever at the time, because Cliffy's young as hell. How we got that, where I'm wearing a Crimson Omen right now, man. It's great. Right. Yeah. So
Gearbox, man, they just the stuff that they've come up with has been great. Like everything that they
Borderlands.
But I mean, like
Gearbox. Oh yeah.
Well, that's a whole other one. Everything that they put out there is like their delivery is on point. Like they'll say like this is what it's going to look like, and it ends up looking exactly the way that looks like.
Yeah.
Colonial Marines.
Yeah. Well. There are exceptions.
No.
Wait, Colonial Marine? Oh, wait, what?
Okay.
Epic Games.
Oh. No, we're talking about one of the worst games ever made.
Gearbox is for Colonial Marines, and it's.
Are you talking about Alien Colonial Marines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I briefly played that for the Xbox, and I know it's an action packed. I know it takes place around the same time.
The controversy surrounding that had nothing to do with the story. It had all to do with presentation.
Right.
But like I said, some of these companies from so long back in the PlayStation 1 games would say, oh, this is using real game footage. And there's a bunch of them that did it. And then it turns out, oh, hey, they've got an SGI machine hooked up underneath the table. They're full of shit. This game looks 10 times worse than what it did. So when Cliff and all those guys at Epic had said, hey, this is what Gears of War is going to look like, everybody's like, oh, bullshit, no way.
And they delivered.
And it did.
It's rare.
They delivered.
It's rare when a game company.
Okay, hold on a second.
About a game that did not deliver, right?
Well, I mean,
okay.
to be
Looks
fair,
good, it just
to
didn't
be
work.
fair, the
Yeah.
developer, CD Punk or whatever,
CD Projekt Red.
CDC Red, they were, from what I found out, they were rushed, and then it doesn't help you have someone like Keanu Reeves hyping up the game, and like I think it was like
You're breathtaking.
earlier it was earlier this year is when CD Projekt Red was finally able to put in the patch to make the game how they wanted it to be made.
There's a whole long history and sad story on that one too. And they did not have that 8-10 years like everybody seems to think. It was conceived with Pond Smith, but I go back to playing the first generation of Cyberpunk and Shadowrun back in the 88, 89.
Yeah.
So this game has been talked about forever. We've had multiple Shadowrun versions and stuff, and there's been a couple good ones and a lot of bad ones.
I played one of the recent Shadowrun games on Xbox.
But what I'm saying is the idea for that Cyberpunk's been around. The sad story behind the scenes is what is unfortunate with that one. But the delivery, and I don't know if Brandon, if you want to use that as your fun fact about how they screwed everybody with Colonial Marines. But what I was getting, like I said, go right ahead, man.
Yeah, so I did look into some of that. There are, of course, some lawsuits pertaining to that because it's false advertising. They managed to actually get away with some of those because, like, you couldn't really pin down exactly what it looked like, because there was that one that had from Lunar Industries, that music with that kind of more realistic kind of live action trailer. So there was that. Then there was the tech demo. So they couldn't really pin down that. So that's how they were able to skirt some of that. And then when they did that first tech demo showing off the gameplay, that was done from, I think, like the first company that they had given it out to, and that was used all on high-end computers,
like Unreal Engine 5
stuff. Nothing that would have worked on current consoles. And then when the Gearbox got it back, then they scrapped a large portion of what they'd already worked on, and then I think they gave it out to, if I remember correctly, they gave it out to one other company, and then they ended up getting it back and then making their final adjustments. So it was a whole screwed up process on making the game. That's why it's like that. And then as far as another fun fact on that is the AI on the aliens are broken because they spelled tether 2 different ways.
Right.
So,
they said it was literally one letter off. That
teether.
Yeah.
It was teether.
Man.
Which I can't say I've heard of any other game having that kind of issue. Not to say that couldn't happen, but you figured
you think that QA would have caught that.
Yeah, well, but you would think so, with it changing hands back and forth, and they're scrapping development, keeping the engine, and in the meanwhile, the whole time on that one, Wayne, where the biggest controversy came out, is they were relying on an early tech demo that was bullshit to begin with, saying that this is what it's going to look like. So day one trailer comes out.
I don't think
they were saying that this is what it's going to be. Well, no, I was going to say, they don't realize what a tech demo actually is, but the problem here is that they didn't advertise it as such. They, like Brandon said, they said it was gameplay. So this is a gameplay trailer using a gameplay engine on your current console. Awesome. Sign me up. I'm down. I want to shoot shit as a Colonial Marine. Fast forward about 3 years later, the game comes out and it looks like a first gen game, and it did not work.
I remember seeing that on in a Game Informer magazine, the pictures, and I don't think people realize that tech demos, they use like a different kind of software.
Well, sure, but they usually say not get final gameplay footage, subject to change and all that.
You'll see like normally you'll see like nowadays with gameplay trailers say, and it's small and faded, but it'll say not official gameplay or gameplay still in development.
But these guys didn't do that. They said this is what it will be.
Something like No Man's Sky, right? Something like that. Yeah, they lied about the features.
Okay.
What they did
seeing Phil's face reaction, like just those 2 words.
But you know what? Okay, hold on.
Disappointment but it took them again. That was like Cyberpunk. It took them almost 2 years to get a patch out that made the game what they.
But I forgive them because they never gave up.
No,
Hello Games has got my respect for that. They could have just dropped it and walked away. Yeah, they could have just dropped it and walked away and done something different. So I will at least give them credit for not just like, oh, we fucked up. Sorry, we'll do something different.
Yeah, I'm sure people like EA would have done that.
Oh, EA would have buried it.
Yeah. So
EA,
we're gonna bring 'em Anthem then?
EA is the reason why.
Are we gonna bring them Anthem then? Is that what we're gonna do here?
I was gonna say Anthem or
Yeah,
EA.
another fun
also
fact on
EA
that.
Andromeda.
Yeah, no. EA is like EA put their, and I'm sorry for saying, EA put their dick prints over everything. What could have been a good. Speaking of games that were overhyped, for anyone who's Mass Effect Andromeda. Here's a fun fact about that. Mass Effect Andromeda was going to have extended story DLC, but with how poorly it was received, because of not just because of the overhypeness, we're going to get extended story DLC because at the end of the game, you find out there's other colony ships that you could rescue. But by the time,
but who cares? Getting to that point was such a slog.
Yeah.
I didn't even bother playing it.
But with
Brandon did it.
I played
once.
Andromeda. I played Andromeda once too, and it was overhyped. But yeah, no, for anyone who's watching, Andromeda was going to get DLC, but with how poorly it was received, because one, it was a sister company of BioWare, and EA BioWare is known for. That's why Dragon Age 2 was rushed, and that's why everything is fucking repetitive in the dungeons.
And 3. Poor Dragon Age.
Anthem was the same thing. Anthem was just nothing but repetitive bullshit over and over again. It was supposed to be the Destiny killer, and it was not.
No, Destiny is the Destiny killer.
Destiny 2 is so much better now that because I'm a Destiny 2 fucking.
Okay, but I said Destiny, not Destiny 2. I said Destiny was the Destiny killer, is what I was saying.
Because when they let EA take over, they screwed themselves, you know. But then they, Bungie bought them back.
That was part of their 10-year plan. That was their 10-year plan.
The 10-year plan was to let Activision screw them.
God, Ubisoft.
But I mean, once they bought the rights back from Activision, once Bungie got everything back, they just brought Kingsfall back. Like literally 2 days ago, like the Kingsfall raid from the first game, they just brought that back, and it's
really
amazing, man. But I mean, that's what they're doing is they're slowly bringing back all the content from the first game and then adding to it on top of that.
So it's unfortunate that it's a little too too late in some cases for a lot of players. I mean, I was a day one launch player, and I was like, even the loot cave thing, it felt right. I mean, Bungie knows how to make an FPS. I ain't gonna lie, they've got that.
Halo's a good example.
Oh yeah, they're the ones that set the standard. They actually kicked that door down and told the world that this is how it's going to be.
I remember early development for Halo was some of the early concepts for Halo. Halo was originally going to be a RTS game, which would eventually come out to be
Halo Wars.
Halo Wars.
Yeah,
right.
And then Halo was also going to be a third-person game where you actually saw Master Chief. But I don't think
I like that as much.
That idea was scrapped along with a nice.
Yeah.
Oh. Cool.
Yep.
That's my current armor right now.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh man.
Well, like I said, they set the standard for how an FPS feels, and I will say Destiny felt that way. The story was extremely lacking and stuff, but it was fun to play. I mean, and as it got,
they fixed that. So like the Grimoire is gone, but they have like a lore system now, and it's basically like all the story is there. Destiny 2, they essentially reworked everything, and the story from the beginning all the way out is really well done.
And that's something that should have been done right off the bat, or at least done faster than what they did. And I, like I said, it's great. It was fun, but it did get boring, and it wasn't what it should have been.
How long was the distance in time between ODST and Destiny? Because there's those posters on the wall.
Yeah, it's just you beat me to it. Yeah, and Halo ODST walking around the area. I think at the time Destiny was in development.
Yeah.
And so just like with Batman Arkham Asylum, the people at Bungie like, hey, how can we hint at a new game without making it obvious? Let's put posters to show what the Destiny symbol will look like.
Right.
So a little fun fact. Yeah, no, you beat me to that fact there, Brandon.
yeah. And yeah, man. I mean, what's fun is I think last season, or maybe it was last season. There's like a Halo Easter egg in Destiny, and it establishes that it's the same universe, just Destiny's way further in the future.
Oh, really?
But
post Covenant War and all that stuff. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So what's cool is there's two guns that came out in the game: the Battler, which is the battle rifle.
Nice.
Okay.
which they just did a revamp this season for it. And then there's basically the sidearm from Halo.
The Magnum.
The Magnum.
Nice.
And I forgot what that's called, but if you masterwork it, it throws a grenade from Halo, and it's the same physics from Halo.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So like it bounces
Right.
the same way. Like you have to masterwork the gun, but then once you shoot, you can if you hold down the reload button, he'll toss a grenade, and the grenade has the same physics as the
Nice.
I didn't know that. I think I remember seeing some of that stuff being advertised, and like since they had the swords, there's like half of an energy sword for the blades.
Oh yeah, so there's two halves. There's one called like the better half, and there's another sword called like the left half or something like that. Or like no, it's called half truth, and then the other one is the better half, and the better half is actually the better of the two, but they're both halves of energy swords.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
pretty-
so because like when you go and read the lore on the weapons themselves, they talk about like these ancient weapons from battles of eons past and all this other stuff, and it's like
that does make sense. That's pretty.
and what's
that's
cool
nice.
is the way you find the pistol when you're because you actually have to go on a mission to find it. You open up one of the old Spartan cryo chambers.
Really?
That's pretty
Okay.
awesome.
All right.
Oh,
Well, I mean, since
man.
Bungie got screwed by Microsoft and everybody else,
And now-
you know,
and now
it's
the
nice to
three-
see that they can.
343
Hold on
Edge
to
is
what
Well,
they
Bungie
can.
and 343, because it was for the Bungie 20th anniversary. So it was and that's what it was for. Is that it was for like they had like a whole bunch of stuff. Like there's also a an add-on to any gun that you have. You can put on if you get a headshot, you get a
I only heard part of that. The Grunt birthday.
the Grunt birthday party.
Awesome.
Yeah.
but if you get a
That's awesome.
headshot, confetti comes out of the head and it does that. But it's
Nice.
like, it was all for the 20th anniversary, and 343 Studios and Bungie got together to put all these Easter eggs inside of Destiny. But then they also made it where it's like within the lore, the whole Halo storyline takes place within the same universe.
It was just
Nice.
just hundreds and hundreds of years later.
It's way later on. It's because this is like post collapse, and like like humans as we know them are extinct. It's a trip, dude.
That
It's a
makes
cool story.
that makes sense. Another fun factor on a movie, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with this one, and I'm sure Brandon you are too. That before Frank Oz ever voiced and operated Yoda, Yoda was originally played by a monkey wearing an old man mask with a curved cane.
Yeah. Have you seen some of the concepts on that? There was some
Mhm.
behind the scenes
I
stills.
saw it, and there's a book about it by one of the people
Yeah,
who worked
I
on Star
watched
Wars.
Okay, so to touch on that with animals playing aliens and stuff, just since you meant that with the monkey in Yoda,
Luke would have had a little,
Alien-
Luke would have had a little
Aliens
monkey on his
3
back.
had a whippet wearing foam latex
Oh, what?
prosthetics to play the dog alien, a whippet, like the little greyhounds, but smaller.
That's
Right?
not what I know as a whippet.
Okay. Oh, oh God. Okay, so a whippet is a skinny dog that has a long tail,
Oh, the
long
racing-
nose
the
and
racing
stuff like
dog-
that.
racing
The racing dogs, but
What,
smaller.
what
Yeah,
San-
like
what,
a greyhound.
what Santa's little helper is supposed to be from The
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Okay, like that, wearing the dog alien head and foam latex stuff, and they actually test footage stuff and shot things. But much like the monkey in the suit, oh, it's so adorable, it's so cute. It just didn't work.
No one
it
would have
was
taken it seriously.
it was a dog in wearing alien stuff. It looked cool, but
Yeah,
didn't
I
work.
watched
But
it
yeah,
with him. It just didn't move
I
right.
mean,
It
I
was not
can't. I
intimidating at
mean,
all.
you're looking at a dog. I mean, just like with a monkey. Like I said,
Yeah.
like I said, Luke would have
I
had
want.
Luke would have had a literal monkey.
Hungry
on-
I am.
Luke would have had a literal monkey on his back, and I saw the old man
What?
mask. He was
Yeah,
wearing
oh.
he was wearing a vest. He had that 1920s curved cane and old man mask. I'm just like, yeah, I'm glad they went with a puppet. And I'm glad they got someone like Frank Oz to voice.
yeah, to puppeteer it and Stuart Freeborn to design it, because otherwise, okay. So have you ever seen the movie Grandma's Boy?
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
oh, yeah.
Okay.
mentioning that. I was thinking that with the
So
monkey.
the scene where they're driving, it was a blue screen shot, but they were all high and they were heading back to go save what's his name. And there's that scene with Dante and Colbert driving. It's like, drive, monkey, drive. Well, that monkeys they're freaking the hell out. It's because it was scared and protecting the one actor and almost bit Colbert.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's behind the scenes. They're talking about that. That damn thing was really protective of the actor, the guy that played Dante.
Yeah.
And you run into that working with these animals. So can you imagine, like, if that monkey got attached to Mark Hamill or something like that, and Lucas came up and said, Mark, if you could redo that, and pointed and then lost the goddamn finger or something like that.
And the monkey was like what, a capuchin monkey, I think. It was a macaque.
It wasn't a chimp. It was a smaller.
I think it was a macaque, but yeah, no, I mean, monkeys like
still
that
rip their damn face off.
Monkeys
small.
Monkeys like that will form bonds with their owners and anyone else. Like
when a monkey nibbles on a weenus.
There was a video. A good example of monkeys forming bonds and attacking other people. When a guy got pulled over to get a ticket, the monkey nearly bit the police officer.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so like you said, someone tried to come to look. Hey, look! Ah!
Yeah, my Brandon's mother and I, when we were still married, knew somebody that owned a capuchin, and his name was BJ. Okay, we're talking like a monkey that's only like this big. All right,
smart too.
Oh, and so strong. I mean, like a half a foot tall freaking little monkey scared me to death because he grabbed my hand one time and I couldn't pull it away. I was going to touch because he liked to be tickled, and he got tired of it and he grabbed my hand against the bars. Little tiny, like half-inch freaking hands, cantilevered muscle. They're strong. Extrapolate that out to a macaque. Extrapolate that out to a gibbon. Go to a chimpanzee. They'll rip your damn arms off and not think anything of it.
Right.
So I'm just saying, on a set like on Dagobah, there's noises and shit going on. They had the fans, people yelling and carrying on, and then Luke running through the damn forest, jumping and climbing and shit.
No.
That thing would have torn him up in half if somebody had come near it. So that being aside, can you just imagine he'd walk around like that and stuff going on? It would be so weird. I mean, how are you going to pull that off? It would be very limited set. Yeah, I can't even imagine
and that scene was
the logistics.
And correct me if I'm wrong. That scene was filmed on the soundstage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was all at Pine Street. So how his little hut? You got 4 or 5 cameramen. You got Mark in there. It's a confined space, and you got this monkey that's going to go literally ape shit at any moment. When somebody freaks it the hell out, I can only imagine how that would have turned out.
I wonder if like George Lucas. I imagine George Lucas like, yeah, we can't do this. Well, there's just have someone from Jim Henson make us a puppet, and then bring Frank Ellis over.
Unfortunately, Jim
did you create McQuarrie? What the hell is this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because the original concept art looked like a monkey with gigantic ears. You're right. It did. Yeah, Ralph's early stuff.
Yoda's original.
Ralph's early concepts. Yeah, he had the big feet and the longer ears. Yeah,
and the long gray hair, white hair.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a Funko Pop of that.
I've got that. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yep. The concept pops. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yep.
That's the one.
Oh,
yep.
God.
And if you look at the original designs, he had a little bit longer chin and stuff, but he looked like a little monkey. Probably because that's what their original thoughts were. It's like, how are we going to do this?
While we're on the concept of Yoda, C-3PO's original movies mascot. Nice.
Movie
signed by Kevin Smith.
Nice.
I got to meet Jay Muse a few years ago. That was a blast.
I'm super happy about this. They got me this for my birthday.
Nice.
Sweet.
On the concept of Star Wars, and I'm sure, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but C-3PO's original design was based off the robot from the 1927 film Metropolis.
Yes.
Yep.
I have that right here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like seeing like. I imagine, like I said, George Lucas was inspired by a bunch of stuff.
No, he wasn't original in any way, shape, or form.
Hell, Obi-Wan was originally supposed to be played by a Japanese actor.
Yeah.
Well, because it's all samurai story.
Anyways, Star Wars is a mashup of Dune and old Kurosawa films.
Yeah,
and
Seven Samurai, The Wall, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's all it is. And Flash Gordon.
And I remember talking to some Star Wars fan film creators how even like Star Wars was like kind of like based off of World War II stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the dogfighting scenes were all literally based on what they did is when Lucas was telling ILM what he wanted for these dogfight scenes, he gave them
think of Tora or Midway.
Right. Well, he gave footage of World War II dogfights, and they literally recreated these dogfights with these planes that they were these ships that they made. and that's why
Which,
they the way they
funny
do.
enough, for Kit Bash from World War II model airplanes and stuff too. So that's even funnier.
And what's funny is, like, everybody complained about what was it, episode 8, where they have the bombing run.
The what?
There was the bombing.
Which movie?
Episode 8.
There was an 8. I only remember a 7 and 9. I must have missed one somewhere.
I don't even really remember what you're talking
regardless
about,
of how everybody
honestly.
feels about that. Like, regardless of how everybody feels
What was
about
the name?
that.
What was it called again?
The what? Oh,
For anyone who, like I said, for anyone who's watching this, none of this shit on this show is scripted.
I mean, it's personal opinion. I'm not talking to. It's just I
like,
get it.
regardless of opinion on the movie, just a lot of people complain about that opening scene is like, oh, well, why did they have a bombing run? Well, because they're recreating a World War II bombing run. That's literally what it was. It's a bombing run from World War II. They were paying homage to what Lucas literally did in the first 3 movies.
Yeah, like I said, realistically, Wayne, a lot of what you're saying, besides having to be innovative out of necessity, the core story for the first film, at least, despite what he's saying about having written all 3, he's not original. And at this point, none of it was original. It was just like, oh, this part of Flash Gordon is awesome, and this part of Kurosawa is awesome, and this part of of all these guys.
In the animated show Star Wars Visions, we actually got to see, Star Wars take place in a Japanese village.
Because that's what it is. That's all it was. It was like, which there's nothing wrong with it. It was just a breath of fresh air, and it was shown in a different manner. And you had up-and-comers that were hungry and were learning how to do stuff like
even Alec Guinness admitted he really wasn't, big on the film idea.
Oh, he didn't care. In fact, until he died, he hated being acknowledged as Obi-Wan Kenobi because it was just a paycheck to him.
Because he was
but it overshadowed his career, and that's why
just like Harrison Ford, how everyone knows him as, Han Solo or Indiana Jones, and he's done all these other amazing roles.
Right. He wanted to die 10 minutes into Empire Strikes Back.
That's right.
I don't think he wanted. Yeah, I think he didn't want to make it out of. I think it was during the Hoth scene is when he wanted to get killed. He didn't want to make it. Yeah.
Episode 7, for when they did Force Awakens, he said, "I'll come back on under the only if you kill me.
I die." Yeah,
he finally got his wish after got his wish after nearly 40 years.
Yeah,
then he came back as a ghost.
Oh, yeah,
which
I know,
whatever.
But I mean, like going back to Alec Guinness, I mean, like he played King Lear.
He was a good British character actor. He was also a stage actor too before that.
Yeah.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
He was so pissed. That's why he was so pissed that, look, so I'm going to be remembered for this.
Being a fucking space wizard? What the hell?
Magic, pretty much
space wizard, but I played King Lear.
Pretty much he was science fantasy Gandalf.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was science fiction Gandalf. He was.
Yep.
And instead of a cool robe, it's just his bathrobes.
Pretty much. I mean,
I love that.
And speaking of Lord of the Rings, I didn't realize this, and I think Brian pointed out, or Phil, I didn't realize that that during the Mines of Moria scene when they're fighting the orcs, those are actual actors that they've like quote unquote green screen rotoscoped onto the film.
Oh really?
For the animated film?
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
That was all live action.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize Ralph. I mean, praise to Ralph Bakshi and his work for one.
Watch any of his films. Even parts of Wizards was all rotoscope from stock footage. Fire and Ice was all soundstage stuff.
I didn't know that until I saw the scenes. Like, especially I mean, as a kid, I saw it as a kid, and I didn't realize that that the Wraiths, when they were stabbing the pillows in that scene, I didn't realize they were like. The fact, I mean, that's early special effects green screen right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
just composite and rotoed.
I mean,
adding Pouncing Pony scenes, those are all, I mean, pretty much just live action cells filtered, and then you had the composites on top of it. It was ingenious.
I mean, I can imagine what kind of work they had to go do to make those scenes possible.
There is a reason why you don't and probably won't see ever again hand-drawn animation. It's just too goddamn
I mean,
expensive.
I mean, look how big they did when they did Roger Rabbit, adding a bunch of
Oh, yeah.
cartoons into a realistic thing, and then adding a real guy into a cartoon world. Like I remember seeing behind the scenes footage on Roger Rabbit, and like all the Toon World stuff. Eddie's actor was all blue screen.
Well, why do you
Yeah.
think Cuphead took so long to make? Like the game
Yeah,
Cuphead? Because it's all hand-drawn animation.
it's-
and forever
it
never.
It shows.
Based off of 1930s
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
Looney
but it
Tunes
shows.
and Disney cartoons.
And fun fact about Roger Rabbit, since you mentioned it, with all the work involved on the rotoscoping, the practical effects, the compositing, and stuff like that, towards the end of the movie, when he has the equivalent to the Samaritan, which is actually donated to Eddie by Yosemite Sam, if you look at the little plaque, by the way.
Oh, I saw like I
yeah,
saw the
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. I
see-
love that prop.
Okay, so there's 2 or 3 shots in that where you see Eddie holding the gun up against a brick wall that is
Mhm.
obviously the prop to be able to rotoscoped over. Those poor animators were so tired, and Bob Zemeckis and a few other guys on the audio commentary saying they just didn't have it in them to even go rotoscope that shit. They were just like, it looks cartoony enough by the paint job, just let it go through. That's why that gun goes back and forth between being cartoon
Yeah, I
to
remember
real.
when he's holding
Yeah.
it, and then he holds it up as cartoon.
And
holds it
then
down,
you see it at a shot.
it's-
Yeah. Because they just like, come on, man, I'm done. This has been a slog. We're fucking done. It's because it's a hellish process. So it's just funny that, just a couple shots here and there was too much for him, but otherwise full credit to that. And with the Cuphead thing, can you imagine anymore with doing that? It's a labor of love, and I have full respect to people that are doing it, but like Don Bluth and some of those guys are just, unfortunately, things of the past. They're very good at it.
They kind of like they pioneered like this that stuff. I mean, you saw it in like early Looney Tunes cartoons and Tom and Jerry cartoons as well. Like they pioneered adding a real actor into a cartoon world, or adding a cartoon character.
And Disney did it too. And but when your hand-drawn animation for a feature film is costing $500,000 a minute, literally. I mean, in the early 90s or late 90s, whenever Titan AE came out, I think it was at $100 and something thousand a minute.
And that was
partially CGI too.
Oh yeah, what God? Who's the animator's name again?
That was Don Bluth.
Yeah, that was Don Bluth's final film.
Yeah, because it's just too expensive. He was a dinosaur,
and
self-admitted.
For anyone watching that film, and I'm sure Phil, you've seen that movie, right? Titan AE.
Yes, Titan AE was great.
Don Bluth's final film. I mean, Don Bluth. I mean, he did
Pete's Dragon's Lair,
Lair,
Secret of Nim. He's done
Space
all
Ace,
kinds of
one
stuff.
of his?
Oh yeah, fun.
Space Ace was his.
Was Cool World his?
No, that was Ralph.
That was Ralph.
Because Ralph Bakshi, because back in the 70s, Ralph Bakshi also did the scantily clad Fritz the Cat.
Oh, Fritz the Cat.
Yeah. And the 9 Lives, and then Fritz Lives, and all that. Yeah, that's Ralph.
But oh god, I just lost my train of thought about a fun fact.
I was.
Oh, go ahead, Phil.
I was going to throw out, because Jurassic Park originally was all stop motion, right? Phil Tippett had actually had that whole movie done. And
really?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That was they had if you look, they used the armatures for his stop motion for the capture.
So all the dinosaurs were going to be
all stop motion.
They have the entire Velociraptor scene in the kitchen done in stop motion and added. And
that would have been cool to see.
You can find it online, but what ended up happening was the guys at the CG department at ILM was like, we can do this, on a computer. We don't have to do stop motion. And they ended up, over like a course of time, they ended up getting everything done, and they spent a shit ton of money making it. Eventually, like Phil Tippett, felt like he was already battling with like hardcore depression as it is, because he felt like,
he's a dinosaur. Yeah.
His work was just like disposed.
But what they ended up using Phil Tippett for was nobody knew animal motions or the way that movement was like Phil Tippett did. So he ended up becoming almost like the first what is it that the people with the dots on their suits
motion capture.
He was a motion capture
pioneer. Well, he pioneered motion capture.
Really?
Yeah,
using the armatures for
Yeah.
his stop motion that he had done for JP. If you watch the behind the scenes, there's a full size armature for all the dinosaurs that they actually started tracking. And then he used the same stuff for the arachnids and Starship Troopers a few years later. Because that was before
Really?
they could actually model bones. Yeah, so there's armatures of all these things, and they're filming it coming over Whiskey Outpost wall and the dinosaurs running through and shit because
Man,
of how well he knew how to do that.
I have more.
Oh, and
respect for
Tremors
this.
too.
I have more
Yeah, that
respect
was-
for Phil Tippett now.
Oh, Phil's
Like,
fantastic.
Like the
Yeah.
thing is, Phil Tippett hated moving in that direction, but he knew that's where he had to go because
Yep.
he enjoyed making the models and you know moving everything. But you know, in a way, where, you know, like I said, he was the first person to pioneer motion capture.
Yep.
As he created, he continued making creatures. Just they weren't creatures he created. He made armatures to mimic the movements.
I'm so
That
glad
was-
Spielberg like said, "Hey, we still need you because we don't know what the fuck we're doing."
Well, the thing with that, like what Phil was just saying, is when the CGI department had come to him and stuff, Steven basically said, "Okay, prove it. If it can come in cheaper and look just as good and be faster, fine, we'll go that way." And it was basically a prove it. So there was that T-Rex concept, and I think there was a running Velociraptor, and it was like, "Okay, you got the job," but then the problem was the animation, and that's like, Phil, come save us. And that's what ended up happening. It was a collaborative effort. They kind of
Right.
folded both departments into one.
Right.
And until the computer stuff caught up with them, and that's one of the reasons why Jabba looked so bad in the re-release in '97 of Star Wars, because well, it was off the shelf software. They were using like 3ds Max and Maya and stuff, but
Right.
the armature end of it hadn't really been developed yet for bones and stuff. Whereas Phil in '93 and '94, and then, you know, with the Tremors 2 and Starship Troopers, had actually kind of figured out we can still use these armatures and stuff to get the true motion. So we're doing stop motion and then are building our model and skins around it. And that's why there's such a big disparity between the two. Nowadays, you're taking a digital version of those realistic models because they had like little points of reference and stuff. Watch the behind the scenes stuff. Wait, it's amazing to see. It's a dinosaur now.
I plan to. I remember, and I'm sure you guys know it. During the scene where the Velociraptors enter the kitchen, if you pause it and zoom in real quickly, you can actually
See
see
the legs?
you can actually see the hand pressing
Yeah.
down on the raptor's tail.
Well, yeah, because they were trying to mix all kinds of medium in that one, and that's another one nobody had ever seen before. You know, you tell me, what the hell does a dinosaur actually look like? I don't know. You know,
Right.
Crash did his stuff with the designs.
There's
Stan
a
Winston, R.I.P.,
Yeah, man.
was doing his best that he could, and they still didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Right.
Nobody ever built anything like that.
There's a
what, Phil?
4-part series on Disney Plus called Light and Magic.
Yeah.
That is like the history of ILM. Check that out, man, if you haven't checked it
What's
out.
ILM?
Yeah. Industrial Light and Magic.
Okay, I've heard of that. I've actually heard of that on
Oh.
on the Dead Meat series.
And they're the
Everything
reason
that you
Pixar
ever
exists.
see- Yeah, every visual in a movie, the CG in general, exists because of them.
I mean, I remember seeing, or the earliest form of CGI I ever seen was the face melting scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which they did.
That wasn't CGI.
that
wasn't CGI. That's
reverse melting.
practical.
It was a
Yeah,
reverse
that's
melting.
practical.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The
That's all practical. The
shoot
dummy.
the
They
They hit with a
they
heat gun.
shoot the scene.
Yeah.
They shoot the
The
scene in
first
reverse.
CGI shot was in
Young
Abyss.
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh no, right, but I mean like the first like full CG character.
Oh yeah, it would have been Jurassic
Oh,
Park.
that's right.
But
No, it was
Young
a
Sherlock Holmes,
that's
the
the reason
night,
that
the
they
stained
knew.
glass night.
Yeah, the stained glass night was the first thing that they had on there, but Abyss, it was like a 5-minute scene. It was the
With the
wa-
pseudopod.
water creature.
yeah.
Yep, the pseudopod.
That
Yeah,
is literally that same team are the ones that did Jurassic Park and showed like that the first thing they had done was that, and they were like, well, if we can do this, let's try and do these dinosaurs.
and that's
and-
why we got T2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Terminator 2
Two.
came from Abyss. The first time
Yeah.
they did like things that weren't metallic were the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted to have photoreal, something that looked well, because doing metal and shit's easy. You know, back then, as far as anything, because a static image, or like look at the last Starfighter, even a lot of the CG
God.
renders in that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just saying early CGI, you can get away with that because it's just a spaceship or a wall or whatever. But a living, breathing character model, it's not so much. So that's why it was such a big deal with JP, because they're like, how do we do this? When these guys said, hey, we can give you photorealistic dinosaurs, prove it. Let me see. And they did, and they knocked it out of the park. And then some of those poor guys like Phil and a lot of other people were like, well, I'm out of a job, or, you know, hey, this isn't going to take over because it's too cost prohibitive. It'll be a slow dissolve into the industry. Nope, hard cut. Boom, day one, you guys are gone. You either learn or
stop motion.
out.
I mean, look how long it took to release Nightmare Before Christmas. All nothing but stop motion. Like just like a 10-minute scene could take almost all day.
Yeah.
Yep. So since you mentioned that, the guy that I bought my Stormtrooper costume from actually worked for Leica and is currently working for Guillermo del Toro, and they're helping or trying to help introduce a renaissance in stop motion. So Pinocchio, the new Guillermo del Toro one, is like 95 to 98% stop motion. It's the real deal. It's not CGI enhanced minus a few things here and there, because there are people that are getting back into practical effects and stuff like that are doing it as a labor of love. Right. That's how we got the Dark Crystal, things like that. But it's a very cost prohibitive. It's time consuming. You know,
again, everybody has their opinions on the sequel trilogy, but I mean, the sequel trilogy, they used a lot of practical.
And I'm fine with that. Yeah, I love it.
Mandalorian used a lot of practical effects.
Yeah, more than no.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a fan of practical effects. I mean, I can't remember what movie it was, but it was an interview on some horror movie that I saw on a YouTube channel, and the guy literally said, "Fuck CGI."
Well, like you know what's crazy? I didn't realize the Razor Crest was a model in the Mandalorian. I thought that was a full CG thing.
Some of the shots were, but if you watch the behind the scenes there, there's a lot of shit they had to do with CG because you just can't.
Right, but like the
majority it like that.
It's all the Razor Crest was
models. Yeah,
and those models are can be up to 5 foot. The models
or 2 inches, depending on the perspective shots. As far as the thing with the fuck CG. Okay, so American Werewolf in London. All right, minus the extendo head, which was developed specifically for that shot and still looks wonky.
That came out what 85? That came out what 85?
81.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. Practical effects there still holds up because it's on set. It's physically there. The movie Bad Moon would look like crap with CGI, and the director's cut took the CGI shots out of it because of that. Practical effects. Dog Soldiers. The Thing.
Oh yeah.
The perfect example. Yes. Thank you, Brandon. That was gonna be the next one.
Yeah.
So
because the prequel is a perfect example on that.
Yeah. There's stuff to be said for CGI as an enhancement, as a tool, but the practical effects end of it shows. And I'm okay with both if used correctly. And when the industry is just swaying too far in one direction and it kills creativity, it's too easy. Nobody really puts any work into it. That's why I was glad with JJ doing it mostly for episode 7, physically stuff. Can you imagine an all CGI BB-8?
I like that little orange soccer ball.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
And that's the original McQuarrie design of R2D2 too.
Yeah.
Wait, wait. We weren't. So I know there was the original where R2D2 was supposed to look all silver. I didn't know R2 was supposed to look like a soccer ball.
Yeah.
There was multiples through there, and it kept changing. And then he had every accessory out at one time, and it was not retractable. And then he was teardrop shaped at one point, and they were like, well, hell, a sphere would be easy to model and stuff because then they could just roll it around set.
Yeah, the BB-8 model, they didn't have the means to create that at the time.
Yep.
The whole reason that they went with the R2D2 model that they ended up with was because
a little man in there.
What was his name?
Little Kenny.
You can put Kenny Baker inside of that thing. So I mean,
rest in peace, Tim. By the way.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, props to J.J. Abrams for
a lot of the stuff from that movie in particular were original Ralph McQuarrie designs.
Yep.
Really
cool. I actually didn't know that.
Neither did I.
My impression was BB-8, much like the Porgs, it was just there for merchandise.
I thought BB-8 was just something for the movie. I didn't know BB-8 was something from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those designs. Same thing with the in Mandalorian, the episode where Baby Yoda's eating the eggs. The spiders in there were originally supposed to be creatures that they ran into on Hoth that they cut from the movie.
Oh, really?
Really? Well, it's right because the planet they're on is a cold planet.
Right. So those spiders were originally Ralph McQuarrie designs that were supposed to be creatures that they
And
ran.
those things looked fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
and
episode
stop
made
motion.
that episode made my fucking skin crawl.
Imagine
it's-
those things in stop motion. They would have been scarier versions of it.
God, fuck you, man.
Well, you see, a lot of that stuff though, even with as much money as they had for Empire, there were still limitations to practical effects and time and money and all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to push out a sequel as quickly as possible. Then, George started having his depression issues and his divorce for Return. So a lot of that stuff got put to the wayside, but it's a great concept. Okay. Fun fact about King Kong, let's say. Peter Jackson was the only one that made an attempt to put in a spider pit scene that everybody had forgotten or didn't know about
I hated
from the
that
original
level.
film
I
that they
hated that
wanted to
level.
do but couldn't.
They're actually in the video game.
Yeah, because it was a talked about scene. They wanted to film it, but had no idea how to do it. And Harryhausen was like, hey, "You guys, I don't know what the hell." So
Make him CG, make it practical.
well, I'm talking about like in the 30s when they made the first
Right.
film. It was
couldn't
it was a
do
concept thing, but they
Yeah.
couldn't do it. So Peter Jackson knew about it because he's a gigantic Kong fan. But even De Laurentiis in '76 and stuff, they wanted to keep the dinosaurs and all that stuff out of it because they wanted to focus on the love aspect, which is weird. That movie's weird anyway. But he put it back in there because it was something that was a concept from way back when. It's like, cool, now that we can, let's do it. And the same thing with the Mandalorian. It's like, hey, this was a great idea. Why are we shelving this? Let's put it back into the mainline stuff. So there's a lot of those little things like that from all kinds of movies that when they get a redo or something like that, it's like, oh, the missing scene or the missing character, or hey, that looks awesome. Why didn't we see that before? It's well because we couldn't.
I mean,
So I'm all for CGI in some of those aspects.
Right.
Development of practical effects, things like that. It's awesome.
It's a trip. The amount of Ralph McQuarrie designed or inspired things that we're getting now that we couldn't get when 4, 5, and 6 came out, or even when 1, 2, and 3 came out, because even then they weren't, the CGI wasn't where it needed to be or anything like that. Like what Lucas wanted and what he was trying to create for 1, 2, and 3 was what we got in The Mandalorian. Like he literally wanted to create the volume when they made 1, 2, and 3, but they didn't have the technology to create that. They didn't have the good enough high resolution screens. They didn't have all the things that are there, because when they showed Lucas the volume, he almost cried because he was like, this is what I've been trying to create since the beginning of
I'm glad ever since Lucas sold his rights to Disney, like Jon Favreau and all of them are like, they still want Lucas because they still want his input.
Yeah. Filoni has the blessing of Lucas. Like everything that Filoni does is like a direct.
And Bryce Dallas Howard too.
Bryce Dallas Howard now, but I mean, originally Filoni.
Oh yeah,
it originally was Filoni, because everything that Filoni created when he started doing Clone Wars, when he started doing Rebels and all the different storylines he was doing, and now they're doing Mandalorian. Like he has the approval. Everything he has is approved by Lucas.
Oh yeah,
and
no.
Basically, he said like, you understand my vision. That's why I continue to.
I mean, that's why the lightsabers in Rebels look the way they do, because that was the original lightsaber concept.
Mm-hmm.
The very thin,
Yeah, it was a glorified laser pointer kind of thing with a small, hilt and stuff. But it's just unfortunate with all that though too, that realistically at this point, who gives a shit what George says, because they don't have to listen to him. But it is awesome that the father of it, even though he may become an unfit father for their franchise, is at least like, hey, when I was young and hungry, you get it.
Right.
It's kind of it's a nice thing, because I think George lost his way a while back, and that's fine. And now he's looking back as an older gentleman, going, man, if only I could have done this. Maybe I should have done that instead of what I did. But these cats can and are, and that's where, like with Filoni and Favreau, they're getting his blessings. It's like, yeah, from way back when going forward, not the middle stuff where he was trying too hard and had too many other things going on. And that's why the prequel trilogy was a little.
I'm sure Lucas was just happy to retire and just give it to someone else who could probably see his
at
vision.
that point. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. He was just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to. But all that kind of stuff aside, it is nice to see. I mean, okay, I walked away from Star Wars after Episode 1 as far as being a rabid fan, and that was so in '77. That was the first movie I saw in the theater, and I've seen every one of them in the theater since. Episode 1 was Brandon's first movie in the theater because I wanted to continue that tradition. I walked out of that theater in tears because I was like, what the hell did you just do to my childhood? It was, I was just upset. You fast forward until we get to Force Awakens. I had walked away. I was done with it. I sold a large part of my collection. I didn't give a shit anymore. I wasn't a big fan. Now I'm kind of getting back more and more into it because of guys like Filoni and Favreau and having the blessing and going in the right direction. It's starting to feel more and more like what it should. We just kind of strayed off the path for a little bit. And it's not a Disney thing or Kathleen Kennedy. I'm just talking about the general feel. And I don't know how you feel about it, Phil, or not, but there was that weird dark times period where it was like, this just doesn't feel right. And the cartoons of all things started to save it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing is that the Clone Wars and Rebels and all the stuff that Filoni was doing like brought everything back. Now,
Bad
episode
Batch.
7, I wasn't too upset about. Yeah, Bad Batch was good too. Episode 7, I wasn't too upset about. What really kind of turned me off was when Rian Johnson decided I'm going to deviate from everything that they were doing in episode 7 and just destroy everything. And then they basically had to pick up everything and say, okay, well, how do we fix this? And then they had too many cooks in the kitchen for episode 9. Like episode 9 had too many cooks in the kitchen because you had Bob Iger saying, well, we want the most money and we want this. It was Iger's idea to bring in Palpatine because J.J. Abrams didn't want to do Palpatine. He was like, I don't want to do this. And
Palpatine was killed off. He was killed off in 6.
Right. Well, they were saying like, why would J.J. Abrams come back? And it was like, well, because he was trying to do what the handoff from Lucas to Kasdan in from episode 4 to 5. He was trying to say like, have another director come in with their vision, but here is the foundation of what I've built. Go off of this. And Rian Johnson was like,
and Irvin Kershner knew what he was doing with Empire, and it shows still.
And the thing is that Rian Johnson is a good director. I mean, look at everything else he's done. He's a good director. It's just he wanted to go in his own direction and deviated from a story that was already established. And that kind of like, messed everything up. So then it's like episode 9. Well, how do we, what do we do to end the storyline, but then, kind of reintroduce the things that we're supposed to get introduced here?
I'm Rey Skywalker.
Yeah. I guess the original plan was that she was supposed to be the equivalent of Ben Skywalker in the books.
Yeah, and she was originally, I found out, thanks to the Lego Star Wars Luke Skywalker game, Palpatine makes a reference saying, I originally wanted to name you Kira, which could be Rey's original name.
Right.
What they should have done if they're going to bring Palpatine back and all that kind of stuff and do that is done a semi-adaptation of the Dark Force Rising comic book.
They should have. There was
the clones
what was
and all that.
What was in the Dark Force Rising comics?
Because that was the essence transfer that the reason that Palpatine was immortal was not because he lived extra long.
Oh, he had to keep cloning himself. The power was killing him constantly. He only lived his body only held him for like a year tops, Wayne.
Right,
and he deteriorated him so fast.
Right, he would transfer his essence and his power into these clones. So that's the whole. And I think that there's a slight concept of that in this movie that's not really explained.
Or Dark Empire, not Dark Force Rising. Dark Empire. Sorry,
Dark Empire. Episode 9, like I think that was the idea he was trying to go with, but they didn't explain it very well. Is that he was just basically cloning himself, and that's why.
Yeah, and Snoke's were like proto clones or whatever. It was stupid. It just never quite.
I remember being told that the original idea for these sequels were they wanted to base it off the extended universe with Ben Solo, Jaden, or Jay, whatever.
Disney kind of pissed me off with that too, because they wiped all the extended universe stuff out and said none of it's canon, only what you see on screen. Okay, fine. It can be Legends of, and I have issues with that because that's the way Solo should have been done. But anyway, they come out and say that none of the extended, so all the Kevin J. Anderson stuff doesn't exist. All the Timothy Zahn stuff doesn't exist. It's all bullshit. Forget it. We're moving forward only on screen. That's the only Star Wars. Okay, fine. Then in Solo, hey, I learned how to fight using Terras Kasi. Go, you motherfuckers! What are you doing? And then they reference that was it. What was the name of that Project Cinder, Brandon, and Mandalorian?
Project Cinder and Mandalorian. That was pertaining to
Operation Cinder.
Operation.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
So
was
they
shown
start-
the Imperial cities out.
Blast the fucking planet. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
so
shown
they
in Battlefront
when the Bill
2
Burr
campaign.
episode, he was talking about it. Yeah. So they start referencing all this expanded universe stuff, and they make mention of Thrawn, and they make mention of this, and it's like, what are you doing? You
But that's
can't
all Filoni.
say
That's all
Yeah.
Filoni.
Which is fine.
Well,
Yeah,
because
But what I'm
Thrawn
saying is that
Thrawn was
Disney comes and
introduced
says
in,
none of this shit
Rebels.
exists,
Well,
and then
Filoni,
they pepper it in.
Filoni's been slowly trying to bring in all the stuff that everybody loves, right? So here are all the in the universe things that everybody loves. He's been slowly trying to bring all that back in, right?
And I'm glad. I'm just saying it was just
he brought back
frustrating as hell.
Yeah, like he brought back Grand Admiral.
Yeah.
He brought back a couple of different characters that are there, but he's also bringing back all of the Old Republic stuff because he reintroduced Darth Bane. He supposedly in Acolyte, the new show the show that's supposed to take place during the High Republic. Supposedly they're supposed to be officially introducing Darth Plagueis the Wise, as well as confirming Revan.
See, and like I said, I'm fine with that.
From KOTOR.
Yeah.
Yeah. What pissed me off though,
they've mentioned
Brandon and I had talked about
Nihilus.
this.
Well, I was saying they've mentioned Nihilus.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, like the names have come up. Like
Nihilus wasn't he introduced in KOTOR too?
Yes. So
he's the one with that weird, like almost like ghost face mask.
Like basically cool. A race in Lord of the Rings, just pure dark side. He's not really
right. He's the embodiment of that.
I find it funny how this all went into Star Wars facts. I love it.
Yeah, he's almost he's almost like Black Bolt, that where like if he speaks, people die.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's no joke.
I love Darth Nihilus so much.
I guess I might as well ask: was Nihilus ever introduced in any extended universe stuff, or was he actually just
in the games?
Okay, I thought, and I know that
he's the one on the cover.
And I know Knights of the Old Republic. For anyone who doesn't know, Knights of the Old Republic is technically part of the extended universe, not
right. Where they're saying that
it won't be canon until he's introduced on the big screen.
But that's what Filoni's been doing, is he's been slowly reintroducing these characters that were established.
Yeah, which, like I said, is fantastic, and I'm all for it. It was just infuriating to hear an official release from Disney saying none of this shit exists. What you love about this franchise that everybody's supported for so long is bullshit, doesn't exist anymore. And it's like, oh, okay, look,
because they want to read.
I've got pictures of me and Timothy Zahn. I've met the man a couple different times, and I loved his books and stuff. And then all the Kevin J.
books are canon now.
Yeah,
Timothy Zahn's new books are canon,
and I'm fine with it. It was just like I said. What are you talking about? My entire library is bullshit now. My all my favorite stuff, all the games. It's like, God damn it, But then to see that get peppered in there, it's like, okay, you guys need to make up your mind, because if you're gonna go that direction, go for it. If you're not, don't. But I'm so glad to start seeing some of this come in there, because a better part of the Star Wars universe is actually the extended stuff. Believe it or not, Wayne. If you haven't read any of the comics or read the books,
rumor has it, Mandalorian season 3. There's a big rumor, and I'm telling you, this is a huge rumor right now, but that they may be introducing Mara Jade.
Oh, nice. Yeah, see, I don't know if that's coming through or not, but that was Timothy Zahn at Oregon Books here with our Square Trooper and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that was here recently. Well, within the past 5 years or so. But if they bring Mara in, I'd like to see the way they did it in Timothy's trilogy, the original. They deviated so far from some of that stuff that now the character is not what it originally was, and that's fine, because Talon Card and some of those other guys, and blah blah blah, and
like
it's okay.
I'm curious,
as long as you get the character right.
Is she still going to be the
Emperor's hands?
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like, she's still going to be the hand of the Emperor. The rumor was that she was present in episode 6. You just didn't see her. She was following Luke the entire time. So I mean, if you read the expanded universe stuff, you know all about that. But it's like, it was in
real quick, you guys, we're gonna have to end this because we're on 2 hours and I still need to eat.
No, man, this is my ending right here. So I mean, like, that's the whole thing, is I want to be able to see like her as the hand of the Emperor, but then her basically shadowing Luke, and then finding out that he is as powerful as he is, and by episode 6 she falls in love with him, and you get that whole love story with them. Of course, we're not going to get Ben Skywalker out of that, but like I'm curious to see if there's a whole situation of when he starts the new academy that she's there by his side, and maybe she gets killed by Kylo Ren, by Ben.
Yeah, at this point, I think all we're going to see is just the introduction of some of these characters with a deviated story and outcome, because that's about all they really can do without literally filming these books and stuff. It's just going to be more of the same. that they've done already with mentioning, but out of context for their origins, you know, kind of like what you're saying about Gotham and some of that stuff. I think that's what we're going to end up seeing. And as long as they keep the core right, I'm okay with it. I mean, like I said, I'm slowly but surely getting really rabid back into Star Wars and stuff. So yeah, I'm right there with you
As
on all
long as
that.
they write the character in a way that honors, you know, what we love about that character.
That's
like,
what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
You look at the way that Grand Admiral Thrawn's being reintroduced into the series,
Yeah.
and like he's all the ruthless tactical monster that we know him to be.
Yep.
It's not the same character from Timothy Zahn's original books, but he still, like, you look at how he was in Rebels, you look at how he is in these new books, and it's like it's the same character, just a different, you know.
And that's what I'm saying. If we get the core right, I'm fine with it. It's much like you know, the way that they keep screwing up a lot of horror films and stuff. They get the look, but not the feel. They get the feel, they don't get the look. You know, I mean, it's back and forth and all that. And with the Star Wars stuff, as long as they get the feeling right, I'm okay with the direction they go, because you just need to have the aspects, like you said, that we love, that feels right. And with Filoni being a fan, I think that's where we're gonna go. But yeah, sorry, Wayne. I
no, you're
no, it was.
Yeah, you guys are fine.
Yeah.
No, again, I'm glad. I hope you guys enjoyed.
I think this is what he wanted the episode to be.
I pretty much, I guess.
Talk about Star Wars. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
just fun facts. This is stuff that a lot of people probably don't know. Like,
so do you think I should keep the name Fun Fact, Nerd Fact? So should we call it? I guess between you guys, should we call it Fun Fact Friday or Nerd Fact Friday?
Nerd Fact Friday.
Nerd Fact Friday.
Because some of the stuff only real nerds are going to be into.
I mean,
you know.
Nerd Fact Friday, yeah, and plus I've come to realize when I do the nerd facts, if you guys follow me on Instagram, every Friday I try to post a fun nerd and geek fact with some extra stuff added for me. So this is pretty much what this is. It's just nerd facts with a little added extra stuff.
Sure.
So again, Phil, Brian, and Brandon, thank you for coming on for this first segment on Geeking Out. Again, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for watching.